Okay. Now I am taking you to another lamentation. Now let us go into the lamentation. Okay. Let us see Lamentations. Okay, if you find any difficulty in the midst, if the slides are not moving, please tell me, then only I can understand. Okay, now it is an introduction to lamentation. Lamentation, name, meaning. Actually, lamentation's name in Greek, it is called tears. In a lamentation's name in Hebrew, it is called how God, all these things happened. So they were in shock. That is the way it is written. So the title is giving meaning how in Hebrew Bible. Okay. Then in English, translation comes from the Latin word for tears. So lamentation, it is the book of tears. What I want to say. We cannot cry for the people whom we hate normally. Okay. At least now the face of that person is over. That's what we are thinking. But in Jeremiah's heart is like Jesus' heart. That's what I want to say. His own didn't accept. Christ was not accepted by his own people. They rejected him. Even they killed him. Yet, Jesus cried for them. The same way, I can see in Jeremiah's heart, this lamentation shows a heart for the people who reject us. That is the very important thing. We should overcome the hate, or we should overcome the bitterness, unforgiving attitude. But we should love the people in spite of. That is the very important thing which we have to learn from Jeremiah. Okay, now, so if you enter into lamentation, Septuagint, that is the Greek translation of the Old Testament, it gives an introduction. What is it? And it came to pass, after Israel was led into captivity, and Jerusalem was laid waste, that Jeremiah sat weeping and lamented this lamentation over Jerusalem. This must have been composed in 3 months between the burning of Jerusalem and the departure of the remnant to Egypt. Actually, some people escaped from Jerusalem to Egypt because they expected repercussion from Babylon, because the governor was killed. No, that's why before going to Egypt, the burning of Jerusalem and departure to the remnant to Egypt, in that middle 3 months, it might have been written. That's what they are telling. Okay. Jeremiah saw the desolation of the Jerusalem city. The siege was more than 1.5 years, I think. It was a terrible siege. Mothers ate their own childs as food. That is the biggest problem. Another one, you can see, Jeremiah grotto is under Golgotha, that mountain in Jerusalem. So Jeremiah was sitting in that cave and he was crying for Jerusalem, and he was writing this lamentation. Some people are telling that in exile also, you remember about this Jerusalem and weep. That is why this lamentation he wrote for the people, even in exile, to feel the destruction of Jerusalem. That's what they are telling. When it was written, it is around 586. Why he wrote? To express the despair of the people of Judah over the loss of their land, city, and temple. Actually, it was a great shock. Many people were thinking that God will not destroy temples, Jerusalem temple. It is His holy presence is there, so He will not destroy. So they kept their faith on Jerusalem temple more than anything. But that only hope, the last hope, was removed. So they were in shock. So Lamentation was written in sorrow, in shock, and in pain. Out of love for the people, he wrote it. Lamentation. Sorrows of captives. In chapter 1, you can see Zion desolate. God's anger with Jerusalem. It is written in 2nd chapter. Hope and mercy is written in 3rd chapter. It is Jeremiah's grief also, you can see. 4th chapter, it is talking about punishment. Sufferings of the siege, it is explained, elaborated in 4th chapter. And 5th chapter, it is talking about restoration. Key verse. Can any one of you read this for me?
Yeah, hello. Brother, is this my turn?
Yeah, okay, you can start.
Yes. Lamentations 3:22 and 23. Through the Lord's mercies we are not consumed, because his compassions fall not. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness.
This is the key verse which we are seeing it in Lamentation. After everything destroyed, we always must have the hope. Even in the time of COVID, we have to have this hope. Every new morning, it is new, and great is his faithfulness. And God is not going to leave us at any time. So have this in your mind always. When you are feeling sad for the God's people, God never rejects any person completely. He expects them to return back. Each chapter divisions are in the right place. There are 5 chapters in this book. Each chapter divisions are in the right place, division, with each chapter comprising one of the 5 songs. That is 5 songs are beautifully and carefully put together. That is the structure of this Lamentation book. It is written acrostic style in first 4 chapters. If you read acrostic style, what is the acrostic style? Hebrew language is having 22 alphabets. In each alphabet, they wrote one verses. But in 3rd chapter, 1st chapter, 2nd chapter, and 4th chapter, you can see 22 verses. Each verse started with the alphabet of Hebrew alphabet. Okay. But in 3rd chapter, it is also in the Hebrew letter starting, but each verse is 3 verses for each letter. So one letter is having 3 verses in that same letter. So 66 verses you can find it in 3rd chapter. Okay, then the only poem does not follow this acrostic, means what is it? It is the 5th chapter. The 5th chapter does not follow the letters of the alphabet, though it has 22 verses only. That is what we are saying. The chapters. The first poem, she, it refers to the city and to the people of the city called the daughters of Jerusalem. He is talking about, or a widow is talking about her children. That's what we can say that. This is the first poem, it is talking about she. Second chapter, it is talking about he, who, God who caused the disaster. Third, if you see, he is talking about himself. I, me, myself. So Jeremiah is talking about himself. Fourth chapter, if you see, it is talking about those, they, theirs. Detached description. Desolation does have a purpose. That is the way he is telling. And fifth one is we, us. So it is a prayer, the chapter of prayer. The chapters in another way, it is written in Wikipedia. It is written like this. In the first chapter, the city sits as a desolate weeping widow over the miseries. The second chapter, these miseries are described in connection with the national sins and acts of God. Chapter 3, it speaks of hope for the people of God. That chastisement would only be for their good. A better day would dawn for them. And the chapter 4, it says, it laments the ruin and the desolation of the city and the temple, but it traces it to the people's sin. The 5th chapter is a prayer that Zion's reproach may be taken away in the repentance and the recovery of the people. Christ in Lamentation book. Jesus lamented over Jerusalem. Anyone can read for me Matthew 23rd chapter verse 37 and 38.
Sister Bama. Hello, Sister Bama is there? Hello.
Oh Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who will the
Hello,
prophets
Sister
and
Bama irukangla?
stone those sent to you.
Bama தான்
அண்ணே
வாசிக்கிறாங்க.
படிச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன்லண்ணே. Oh Jerusalem,
continue.
Jerusalem, you who will the prophets and stone those sent to you. How often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.
I told when in the book of Jeremiah, I told he is having Jesus' heart. Now Jesus is showing his own heart, which was reflected in Jeremiah's life also. Jesus was lamenting over Jerusalem, which rejects him. So he cried, "O Jerusalem, O Jerusalem." In Jeremiah's ministry and Jesus' ministry, you can see sufferings and rejection. Jesus referred Jerusalem temple as den of thieves. It is a quotation from the book of Jeremiah. So when he cleansed the temple, Jesus cleansed the temple, he quoted Jeremiah. That is the way we are saying in Lamentation. So I finish Lamentation here. Then let's go for, then we will go for Ezekiel. I have not completely finished Ezekiel PPT, but I try to show you that also. at least only 1/4 I couldn't finish, but yet I can tell. You must understand, Ezekiel was in Jerusalem, sorry, in Babylon. Ezekiel was in Babylon when he got the visions of God. When he saw the vision of God, he got the call to be a prophet. So now let us see the book of Ezekiel, an introduction. What is the meaning for the name Ezekiel? Ezekiel, it is God strengthens, or he is strengthened by God. He was born in a priestly family of Zadok in 622 BC. At the age of 25, he was taken to Babylon in second deportation. I told you, 3 times Nebuchadnezzar attacked Jerusalem. So first time he took Daniel, Jehoiakim, and cream of the Jewish society. Second deportation, 10,000 people along with Ezekiel also. So in the age of 25, he was taken to Babylon. So when he entered Babylon, already Daniel was a famous man. And these people were kept near the Babylon outside, and they had a colony like. In that, he had his own house. He was a priest, so he was talking about temple and ceremonies in his prophecies more. He was married because Jeremiah already told 70 years ago you are going to be in Babylon, so don't try, be in peace. So they lived there. He was called at the age of 30 to minister. In the age 30 only, one person can enter into priestly ministry. Even though he was born in a priestly home, he can take up or he can start his work in the temple when he was 30. Here, he was born in priestly family. Now he is being called for the prophet ministry at the age of 30. They are telling Ezekiel was a man of broad knowledge, also of international affairs and history, general matters of culture. From shipbuilding to literature, he had a vast knowledge. That's what they are telling. Many more than any other prophet. He was directed to involve himself personally in the divine word by acting it out in prophetic symbolism. So more than Jeremiah, more than any people, Ezekiel was involved in that prophetic ministry. So he went through that visions and all those things. Even many dramas like showing the word of God to them, he enacted. That is the way he was more than any other prophet directly involved himself in delivering the word of God. Okay, now let us see Ezekiel and Daniel. They were living in the nearby place. Okay, he is inside the palace, Daniel, but he was outside the city. That's all. Who Ezekiel was residing outside a city. Here, Daniel inside the palace. Ezekiel was a prophet of the captivity. We have already heard about it. Okay, 11 years before Jerusalem was destroyed, he was taken. Daniel had been in Babylon for 9 years. When Ezekiel arrived, he had already attained to great fame. Daniel in the palace, Ezekiel in the country, they may have met often. That's what they are telling. Okay. Ezekiel and Jeremiah. Ezekiel was in Babylon and Jeremiah was taken to Egypt by the escaping Jewish people. Jeremiah was the older. Ezekiel may have been Jeremiah's student. That's what they are telling. Ezekiel preached among the exiles the same things that Jeremiah was preaching in Jerusalem. Certainty of Judea's punishment for her sins. This is the message Ezekiel preached. So Ezekiel book, if you see, it is of prophecy and warning. You can see where it was written. It was written in Babylon when it is between 593 BC to 571 BC. Why it was written? To confront people from their sin. They had idolatry, immorality, and ingratitude. Idolatry, immorality, and ingratitude. 3 I's. Give them one last chance to repent and offer hope. Another another key verse. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. So it is 36:26. 34:26 is BOM's promise. So God's promise, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. In Ezekiel, God revealed himself. How he reveals himself? In 62 places. It is being told, they shall know that I am God. Then you will know that I am God. Then nations will know I am the Lord. So 3. They shall know I am God. Then you will know that I am God. Then nations will know that I am God. So God is telling, Jewish people will know that I am God when I am doing all these things. Then you will know, that is Ezekiel, you will know when I am doing all these things, you will know that I am God. Then he is telling, even the nations, Gentile nations will know when I am doing that, I am the Lord. This is the way, 3 ways it is written in 62 places. By their punishment, they would come to know that God is God. God's sovereignty over all creation, it is explained. God is the ruler. The sovereign God resolved that he would be known and acknowledged. The people should know and acknowledge. They should know and acknowledge God. It is talking about God's total sovereignty. It is also evident in his mobility. That's very important. See, now temple is not there. So God is moving. So in Ezekiel's visions, you can see that God is moving on the wheels. So not only he is stationed in Jerusalem, he is moving. God's glory is moving from the temple to the top of Olive, and it was taken out. The same way, from heaven the glory came down, and it was revealed in Jerusalem in the time of Jesus. Jesus himself is the glory of God. Then after Golgotha, he was After the resurrection, he went up to the olive. Again, he was taken up. So God's glory, it is moving. That is what we are seeing it in Ezekiel's book. Okay, Ezekiel's ministry. It is written another one words, the Son of Man. The Son of Man is addressed 90 times. It is almost 90 times. Many of the time, God made Ezekiel dumb by putting his tongue stick to the top. So he kept quiet for some time. He had to lie on his side in one position for over a year. And he had to eat loathsome food. His wife, whom he dearly loved, was suddenly taken. So he paid the price for the ministry. Nowadays, for the ministry, we are expecting payment. Not, I am talking about missionaries only. It is in Christendom, okay? But prophets' ministry, they paid the price for God's calling. Ezekiel's ministry. The first 7 years of his ministry, he faithfully relayed to his fellow Jews the stern, heart-rending, hope-crushing word of divine judgment. 4 dreadful judgments, he told: sword, famine, wild beasts, and plagues. Even though he was in Babylon, he wrote prophecies to the Jerusalem people. He didn't visit. In vision, he saw Jerusalem. Even after the destruction, the people were in a different way they were living. Jerusalem would be destroyed by Babylonians. That is 11 years before he came. No? That's what we are saying, that before the destruction, he was taken out. So that's why we are saying all these things. Okay, the people would be deported to Babylon. So he is telling, even though I am taken in captivity, the Babylonians will come and they are going to attack you. So before the destruction, please repent. That was the message Ezekiel was giving to them. Okay. Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Habakkuk had all said the same thing to Jewish people. Okay, Ezekiel's ministry. The only hope the prophet was authorized to extend to his hearers was that of living at peace with themselves and with God during their exile. You live at peace and you live with God. That's all. Only that message Ezekiel gave to the people who are in exile along with him in Babylon. The exile was not merely punishment, but was also meant to reform the people. So sometimes punishments, we may think that it is completely removed from ministry or anything, but it is not so. God allowed to reform the people. Then he was then directed to pronounce a series of judgments on the 7 nations: Ammon, Moab, Edom, Philistia, Tyre, Sidon, and Egypt. Against these nations, he prophesied. He saw the vision of desecrated temple, and it is fit for destruction. But at the same time, he saw the vision of restored and purified temple in chapters 40 to 48. He saw the desecrated temple fit to be destroyed in chapters 8 to 11. So now I'm taking you to my notes. Yeah. Can you see this?
Yes, Anna. Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Now I'll show in a different way also if it is possible. Yeah. Now you can see a little bit. Okay. This is what we have seen. Then he saw that God presented in agitated wrath. That is in chapter 1. But he also told about God's comfort. Lord is there in 48th chapter verse 35. So both the extreme messages from the God he told. Ezekiel's call to be a watchman announcing divine judgment. That in chapter 3 is balanced by his call to be a watchman announcing the new age to follow. So two extremes, announcing about the divine judgment, and also he is announcing about the new age to follow. In one place, the mountain of Israel received a prophetic rebuke. In another place, they are consoled. So most of Ezekiel, however, in prose, because he is from a priestly background, perhaps because of his priestly background. Then 12 symbolic acts. I saw some chat. Wait a minute. What is that? I couldn't see the chat. Please close the PPT and share the notes. Okay, wait a minute. I'll close the PPT. 1 minute. Because I didn't save that only. 1 minute. See. Okay, now I closed it. Is it okay now?
No, no.
Share பண்ணுங்க.
Okay, I'll share. Now, is it okay? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So 12 symbolic acts. When God told you do this, and through this you tell. In 3rd chapter, verse 22 to 26, shut yourself inside a house, and his tongue stick to the roof. So he should be silent. He couldn't enable to rebuke the people. So God told, when I speak, I will open your mouth and you shall say to them. So sometimes God may ask us to shut your mouth and sit calm. When God says something you have to say, then at that time, if you say it, it is from God. So you have not to worry about it. And 4th chapter, verse 1 to 3. Prepare a clay tablet, draw Jerusalem city, lay siege, build a ram against the city, and battering rams around it. So he showed all these things to the people and how it is going to be destroyed. 4th chapter, verse 4 to 8. Lie on your left side 390 days. Bear the sin of Israel. Lie down on your right side for 40 days. Bear the sin of Judah. It is been told. Then 4th chapter 9 to 11. You take only rationed meal, so that the people may understand that they are going to meet the scarcity of food in the time of siege. And God asked to bake your bread over the cow menu. But more than, I don't want to tell it in this Bible study, you read by yourself. It is worse thing God told to him. But when he asked God, God allowed him to bake the bread over the cow menu. Okay. Head shave and divide the hair. Head and bird shave and divide the hair into 3. Put 1/3 burn with fire inside the city. So people will be destroyed. 1/3 they will be strike with the sword and scatter the another third. 1/3 of people will be scattered. That is the message he gave. Then, why it's not coming? Yeah. Pack your belongings. In the daytime you pack, evening go as exile, because people will go into exile like this. That's what he told. 12th chapter, tremble while you eat and shudder in fear as you drink your water. So you must know that the enemies are nearing and you should fear. That is the way he acted and showed them. You are going to fear like this. Groan before them with broken heart and a bitter grief, showing the bad news. Marking 2 roads with a signpost to city. One road, Rabbah of the Ammonites, another against spelling, yeah, okay, against Judah, against Judah and fortified city Jerusalem. So in that junction, Babylon king will sit and he will put the lords, which one he should destroy the first, Rabbah or Jerusalem. In 24th chapter, his wife died, but God told, don't move, be in shock. At that moment, the temple of God in Jerusalem also, at the same moment, it was destroyed. So when your wife dies here, there my temple is also destroyed. He got the news. A fugitive will inform that news of destruction. 5 messages are in the form of parables. Piece of burnt wine, adulterous wife, parable, 2 eagles and a vine, a lioness and 2 hubs, King Jehoahaz being taken to Egypt, and King Jehoiakim being taken to Babylon. 2 sisters, Oholah, Samaria. Assyrian will destroy Oholah, and Oholibah, it is Jerusalem. Both sisters were in prostitution, and Jerusalem will be destroyed by Babylon. So in Ezekiel book, you can see 4 major visions he got. Okay. Ezekiel and John, this is not for teaching, but to tell you the things you can understand. For that, I am telling to you. Ezekiel visions seem to be extended into the book of Revelation. So, cherubim in Ezekiel 1 and Revelation 4. Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38, Revelation 20. Eating the book, Ezekiel 3rd chapter, Revelation 10. New Jerusalem, Ezekiel 40 to 48, Revelation 21. River of water of life, that you can see it in Ezekiel as well as in Revelation 22. 3 major prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, they say the same messages. Okay, if you see in their prophetical book, you can see these 3, and Zephaniah all have the same basic sequence of messages. Oracles against Israel, oracles against nations, consolation for Israel. This is the way God taught them through Ezekiel, but they didn't accept and they suffered. This is what we are seeing. Dear friends, I think that's it. It's not coming. Yeah. So, Saravanan, you can take up some
Daniel,
questions. Yeah.
Daniel, Daniel.
Daniel, no, I didn't take. Okay. But Obadiah I can take now. Then I
Obadiah
can
you
give.
can finish.
Okay. Obadiah I will take, and then I will.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
1 minute. 1 minute.